Urdizzle back with another daily video. This one I thought was a pretty fun layout. There were quite a couple disc changes. First, I'm putting in the glide roll rive. I had put in the glide sticky, but I'm going to need a roller on one of the holes. But I also want to keep the other one in there, so I'm going to take out the accurate skip grace, which I don't use here, and then I'm going to keep both the glide roll and glide sticky rive. Very similar, but sticky doesn't roll. And I'm going to include 2 rounds here. One was, I won't say it's my first run through, because I did run through it once or twice, which let me know that I did need to swap some here, but I had a really good run on this one and just messed up a couple holes, but I thought I'd throw it in there for entertainment purposes. Holes 1 and 2 were kind of tricky because hole 1 you had to get just the right amount of turn to get up the hill, and then hole 2 here you just gotta pure it through one of those 2 gaps and hope it gets up there. I'd be really eager to see anybody have a line that can consistently get up to the hole. It's just such a narrow little gap. I mean, unless they make accurate drivers, which I don't think they've added recently since they added the water skip, but I just don't see an easy way to consistently get through those trees to get something in the 50 to 80 foot range where you're reducing that all the time. All right, this one, I've seen a lot of people go forehand. I have figured out that if I elevate it with a sticky or roll disc and just land it up here on the top of the hill and give myself anywhere from 70 to about 100, 110, I'm pretty comfortable with that. Just got to be careful when it gets a little windy, or like this one here, a little further out than I would have liked. But as long as you're comfortable with the wind and comfortable with the disc you're using it for throw-ins, whether it's a putter or a fuse, it's really not that bad a shot. So what I figured out is you really got to get all 3 of those. And I did look at, sorry, backtrack a little bit. I looked at the scores, and I think the top score was 15 under. And running through this the first couple times, you pretty much have to get all 3 of those first ones, and you have to get the 2 Oak Hill ones. So this one, pretty easy one. But you also are probably going to have to get a hole-in-one on, I believe it's the next hole, if you're going to get a 16 under. And so that was my goal for this, was could I get all eagles and then a hole-in-one in this? But that wind of 3 is really, really tricky. So I did practice this for about 10 or 15 minutes prior to this round. So I played through once, had a decent round, and then practiced that one for about 10 minutes to try to get a line. Obviously there I missed, but I think with a wind of 3, you're just hoping you don't go too far. Obviously, you want to make it, but if you don't make it, you don't want to go too far and give yourself an annoying throw-in. I did mess around with the forehand a little bit, but the first time I threw it, it ended up going so far right that it clipped something and went all the way down the hill out of bounds. And so if it did that first time, there's just no chance of me ever using that in a round that matters. And this is the hole that I used the roller on. I've seen a lot of people throw forehands, backhands, all sorts of different shots. With that right to left headwind of 3, I just think the roller is a much more consistent throw. You can't convince me that there's another throw with another disc that's more reliable than a roller on that hole, at least for that wind. I suppose if you get a tailwind, you can get a skip, like a glide skip rive up there, but I'm throwing roller if it's a headwind. It's very, very consistent. All right, this hole has been, it's been kind of a mess. So up to this point, now right there, as soon as I let go, I knew it was just not going to be good. So this round is pretty much over, and it went worse. I thought there's a chance it might hit the fence, but that was just absolutely awful. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and continue the round, try to practice these end holes. But I think first time I played this hole, when I got to this point, I think I threw my eagle off the front of the basket. The second time I did what I just did right there and threw it to the right. Third time I threw it to the left and went OB long and left, which I'd never seen done from what I throw with the forehand. And it's just been a mess. So I kind of wanted to practice this a little bit. But that, right through with that forehand, I mean, that's the route. I just need to put a little bit more turn over it, throw it up over the tree, and just kind of let it play out. Because even if it's not a great throw, I still feel like I can get up and down for the eagle if I need to. This hole is going to be a mess also. I know this is not an easy hole. So right there, I want a little bit more turn. Now, this is the difference on that Oak Hill hole. I threw my glide roll rive. This one I threw the glide sticky. I'm still trying to feel out the attributes, like how the developers are figuring out all the stats. And that was just a crappy shot. but I'm trying to figure out how the roll and sticky are affecting each other. Like, what's the difference? Because I think they had said in one of the releases that they were going to add a little bit to the sticky to make it grippier on the ground. But then I don't know how they remove the roll from it. I have actually not tried to roll the sticky disc yet, so I'll have to experiment with that a little bit. But that's why you saw the two different discs. Because if I throw the glide roll rive on that downhill hole that you just saw, it just does all sorts of crazy stuff, and I don't want to mess with it. All right, we finish things off here. And honestly, I was trying to hole it out. I thought there was a chance, because at this point in time, I know I don't have the high score for the day, or the low score, I should say. So I was trying to hole that one out just for shits and giggles. But overall, not a bad round. Got the first few eagles. Really want to ace hole 5 if I can, and obviously those pars are a bit of a mess. So this is going to be a tricky layout if we're going to get top score in here. I think 15 under is manageable. 16 under is doable, but it has to be perfect, and I got to get that ace on hole 5. After that round, I took about a half-hour break, grabbed a bite to eat, came back, and then good stuff happened. So this is the round, hole 1, and there's that nice turnover shot. If I'm playing this in a multiplayer or pro tour, it's such a tricky hole, because number one, you can't go too far. There are many times where I went a little to the left of that, and there's a little ravine before you cross over to where the hole is. Second thing you got to worry about is if you leave it too short, are you going to run it? So hold on, we'll throw this one right here. That's the gap. If you can squeeze it to the right of the tree and just to the left of the rock. But then you're throwing in from 110, 130. If you miss, go long, you're out of bounds. It's a tricky hole. I like it, don't get me wrong, but that's definitely one that's a challenging two to get. Same with that one. I bet I could get that hole 1 out of every 5 times. It's just a really tricky hole. This one, on the other hand, this is what I was talking about. So just play a little bit of turn. So I've adjusted my route to play a little more turn to the right and just landed anywhere up here. Basically anything from 70 to 100. And that wind of 2 crosswind is really not going to have much of an impact. I feel if I can get in that inside 100 feet downhill, that's going to be a 2 most of the time. All right, good start. Oak Hill, this one, again, I'm going to aim a little to the right, kick it out there. This you should get every time. Occasionally right about there and a little to the left of that, there's a dead spot where if the disc doesn't come down at the right angle, doesn't get the kick. I mean, worst case, you're still 120 out, but there is definitely not a 100% skip rate on the ground, so you got to worry about that, how it lands. All right, and this is it. Jumping in. This is the one, if I get a hole in one on this, I feel like I can run the table. And right about here, I thought for a second that it wasn't going to do what I needed it to do. Based on the last few times I played it, I thought for sure it was going to miss left, but luckily that wind pushed it. And I, not going to lie, I did not think that was going in, but we will take it. All right, that is what we needed. So we've got all eagles going so far, all blue card. Again, here's that headwind. I'd love to see. So I did try the forehand glide skip rive, and it just was not getting up the hill. It was leaving me an uphill shot from like 120. It just was not consistent. So if you can learn the angles, and even this one, it didn't quite turn the roll over how I wanted, but it's still up here, still a reasonable shot. I will take this one as opposed to any shot down below any day of the week. No issues there. Just don't want to overthrow it. I did have a round, I almost included this in video, where I had that exact same shot from that exact same distance and I hit the top. I just didn't read the headwind was going to push it up. All right, this is the money hole. So this is what I'm talking about. Aim at the top of the tree, throw it just over the top, and then just let it fade. You still occasionally hit that stuff right there, but I mean, once I'm clear here, I was highly confident, and I got a lot of distance on that I did not think I was going to get. So right here, I almost threw the accurate glide sapphire, but I was like, that's probably not quite enough disc. So I just took the glide sticky rive, played it out to the right, let the wind bring it in, and even almost went a little bit too long, but I felt distance control with the sticky disc. I really wasn't too worried about it going long. So right there, if I throw the glide roll rive, there's a chance it stands up and kind of rolls to the right or out of bounds, and I did not want that to happen. All right, this one I want to get close. So see the difference on that one compared to the last round. It fades a little to the right. So coming down, even if this misses further left, I feel much, much better. And that was just money. Perfect shot. Sticky disc. So in that regard, I do notice that the sticky and the roll act a little different, because there's times where the roll, and I almost hit that too high, there's times that the roll disc will do that, but if it comes in too hard or too fast, it'll pop up and start rolling as opposed to just flat sticking. All right, so we just got to finish what I consider a pretty easy hole, and I did not make it easy. That was not the shot I was looking for, and all I need to do is birdie this. I'm not trying to do anything fancy. And of course, I leave myself with this annoying shot. So again, going with the glide, sticky rive, hoping to land it. And right about here, I cringe. So all I think was two things. Number one, is it going to hit the light pole? And number two, is it going to skip long? So first thing, we barely missed the light pole, but then right about here, I thought it was going to skip long. But again, there's the difference, I think, with the sticky versus the roll. If that was the roll disc, there's a chance that it hits, pops up, and rolls. It's really, really finicky when it comes to that kind of stuff. Now, the crazy part here with that putt is I actually thought I missed the putt. So right there, when I caught a glimpse of it out, so I putt with the keystone. When it went out to the right, I thought for sure I missed it wide right. So right here, it actually looks pretty, not dead on, but just a little off to the right of dead center. But during the round, I thought I screwed it up, because I'd done that a couple times earlier today, and I just left the putt too far out wide, and it hit the chains and went on the ground, and my stomach, there was something in the pit of my stomach when I putted that, but it ended up sticking. And now that I look at the replay, it really wasn't as bad as I thought. So there you go, 16 under, and I'm positive that's going to hold. I cannot see anybody else getting any better than that. There's no reasonable strokes out there, knowing that you got to ace hole 5, and you got to get all the early ones, and throwing a level up on top of it. And we'll take a quick look at the leaderboard once all the experience in gold adds up. And there you go, 16 under, a couple other people on the leaderboard, and this was the prior night. So I did take a quick recording here. There you go. So that shows the leaderboard with about 40 minutes left, and maybe someone else gets 16, but no one's beating that. All right, we'll take a quick look in the bag. I had made a couple changes since I've been back, but I kind of reverted back to some old stuff. Fairways up there, I've got the usual stuff. I got the musket and the sapphire, and then the glide skip captain. The only one that's not in the bag anymore when we get to it, so I think the last video I did, this disc right here, the turn glide rive, I did not have that in the bag. That's been back in because I didn't realize how much I used it. This is the disc that I took out. So the glide roll has been replaced with the glide sticky. Again, I just don't think there's enough roll holes where I actually need that. So, and I feel like that one has a little bit more ground grab to it. And then the usual ones, I don't foresee these ever coming out of my bag. The light glide rive and the glide skip. So one of the things I wanted to talk about this video as it transfers over to the fairways is I actually like having 4 rives in the bag. And some people ask, like, what, don't you want a little variety? Do you want something that's less glide, a little shorter, different flight path? I actually like having 4 discs that have the exact same flight path. Obviously, the glide discs will travel a little further than some of the other ones. Like, actually, they're all glide now that I think about it. The turn one will do things a little differently than the roll compared to the skip. But just knowing the flight path, how much it turns right out of the hand, how it affects, or how it's affected by the wind, I just like the consistency of having all 4 rives, same driver, same flight path. So here I'm going to swap my discs back in. So that was the accurate skip Grace. We're going to pull that glide roll out and put the sapphire back in its spot. And there you go. So that one, I think that is the longest or straightest flying skip disc, I think, in the game. And there you go. So 16 under. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I will be back potentially over break. I might do a walkthrough of one of the newer courses, but we'll kind of see how things play out. So hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next video.